Okay, so this video is about how to insert math equations into Google Docs and Microsoft Word. So a lot of the work you do in chemistry is going to be in math equations, and here's how you do it digitally. So this is normally the type of math equation you're going to get in a chemistry class. It's actually a multi-step problem, and you're going to use something called dimensional analysis to solve it. Now, we're going to spend a module later in the class talking about dimensional analysis. So right now, I just want you to focus how I put stuff into Microsoft Word or Google Docs. In this case, we're starting with Google Docs. So if we were to do this problem by hand, I would normally start with what I'm given. And in this case, I'm given that I spent $5. I want to convert that to what I'm buying. In this case, it's eggs. And I know that if I want 1 dozen eggs, it's going to cost me $2. And then I want to convert that to total eggs, and I know that there are 12 eggs in 1 dozen. And when I solve that all out, I actually get 30 eggs. And even if you don't do it this way, you can probably see that for $5, a dozen is $2. For 2.5 dozen eggs is what I can buy, and 2.5 dozen is the same thing as 30 eggs. But in this case, I want to do this digitally, and this is how I'm going to do it. So first things first, just like normal, I'm going to type in the $5 just like a regular old line, and then I'm going to put my multiplication sign. In this case, I'm using the X. Then you'll notice my cursor is right here, and this is where I have to insert math to put in my first conversion factor. So the way I put in a conversion factor is, once again, I go up here to insert, and then this time what I want to do is I want to go to equation. So all I'm going to do is hit insert and equation. Once I get to insert an equation, this whole bar pops up right here with all the different equation types. The one that I'm going to pick most likely in chemistry is this one right here. This is where you can put your fraction-based equations in, and then I'm actually going to choose this a over b fraction. So notice that when I put the a over b fraction in, I could actually just start typing right into the fraction. I typed 1 dozen eggs at the top. I had to make sure my cursor was on the top. And as soon as I'm done with that, I'm just going to hit the enter key. Once I hit the enter key, it put my cursor at the bottom of the fraction. I type in $2, and as soon as I'm done with that, I click out of the fraction. Now that I'm out of my fraction, I can continue typing normally. Notice I just put this X in there. It keeps you on the same line, which is really nice. And now it's time to enter my second fraction in this conversion factor right here. Notice that the equation bar actually stays on the screen. However, these are grayed out. So in order to put another equation in, once again, you're going to have to hit this button right here that says New Equation. So I hit the New Equation button. I picked the A over B fraction, and it's ready for my A over B fraction right here in this conversion box. And once again, my A over B fraction is right there. If you forgot where it was, it'll put a nice A over B fraction right there. So I've got my entire problem typed in here. It's beautiful. It's done. It looks good. One little piece of advice. Notice that my font size for my normal font is 12. It makes these conversions really small. So what I had to do was I had to highlight over them and change the font size to like 16 or 18. So the whole line looked like it was in the same font size. As you can see, inserting equations is relatively easy in Google Docs. The only equation you're really probably going to ever have to enter is that A over B fraction. But I did want to show you this because there's a few times in chemistry where we actually use Greek letters, particularly when dealing with the motion of electrons. So under this new equation, this first choice is a bunch of Greek letters, and you have your entire Greek alphabet right here. You can pick whichever letter you want to insert it. But really, outside of A over B fraction, the only thing that you're going to probably pick to enter might be a Greek letter at some point in chemistry. So now let's move on to Microsoft Word. Once again, same problem about the eggs. This time I've even set up the conversion as well. This time what I want to do is I want to put the fractions in using Microsoft Word. The way you do that is you make sure you're on this Insert tab up here in the top left, and then what you're looking for is this pi button to the right, and actually below it says Insert Equation. If you click on the drop-down menu, it brings you to this drop-down, but it's easier if you don't click on the drop-down menu and just click on the pi button itself. When I click on the pi button, I get all these choices, and once again, I want to enter a fraction. So I'm going to pick this one right here, which is our fraction button. So I've picked the fraction button, and I chose the first fraction. And notice that it pre-populates these fractions with these boxes. In order to actually type in the box, however, it doesn't put your cursor in the right place. You have to click on this little tiny box and make sure it's turned blue. Once it's turned blue, you can start typing into the box. So you can see here that I've already typed into this box, then I got out of it, clicked on put on my next X, and now I'm ready for my next conversion factor. So once again, I'm going to pick fraction, and I'm going to pick this very first stacked fraction, clicking into the blue boxes to make sure that I can type in my second conversion factor. So once again, Microsoft Word does the same thing as Google Docs in that it types these fractions in a little bit smaller because it tries to fit in the same space. So when I'm done, I'm just going to highlight them and make them bigger. It just makes everything look the same and easier to read. It's a style preference. It doesn't have to be done, but I just like it because it's easier to see. So one advantage that Google Docs has over Microsoft Word is that there are no Greek letters in the math part of Microsoft Word. There is a way to put in the Greek letters, but you have to go to Insert Symbol and then search for the letter you want. One major advantage, however, that Microsoft Word has over Google Docs is the ability to put in matrices. So you are going to need to use this weird matrix notation when we do isotopic notation, particularly when we're looking at nuclear chemistry. And I'll remind you when we get to nuclear chemistry about this. But the way you do it is you clicked on that pi button for math, and this time you're going to choose the very last option right here, and this 2 times 1 empty matrix, because what that's going to be able to do is put in the correct isotopic notation. So I'm going to show you really quickly how to do this. So it works almost the exact same way as the A over B fraction. It puts just 2 boxes. Notice there's no fraction line to indicate the numerator and denominator. This is just a matrix. You click on the blue box, you type in your number here, you click on this white box to make it blue, type in the second number, and then as soon as you click out of it, you can type right next to it, and it fits it together really nicely. So I'm going to show you what I did on the next slide. This right here is the isotopic symbol for a standard helium atom or an alpha particle. Don't worry about what that is right now. But the 4 actually indicates the atomic mass, the 2 indicates the atomic number, and then He is the symbol. I'm able to do this by using those matrices. I put the 4 in the top, the 2 in the bottom, and as soon as I clicked out, I just typed the symbol for helium, and I've got the correct and appropriate notation for a helium atom. So once again, this video is really just about how to put math notation, particularly those fractions, those isotopic writings, and where to find Greek letters in Google Docs and Microsoft Word. You'll have a lot of practice with this, particularly if you want to complete assignments digitally. As always, you're free to print things by hand and write them all out, but if you just want to do everything paper-free, this is how you do it. So if you need help, come find me, and good luck.